every time one of the elite level tour players comes in, we ask them to come out on the green and we watch them and we talk to them about their green reading and what they do. And we've noticed a couple of common traits. I'm going to take you through some of those right now. So I'm going to just go ahead and read this putt and show you what we've learned. So when I come back here, what we've noticed that all great putters do is they always start from behind. Now, a lot of times they'll crouch down and they'll take a little look first. They'll get a general idea of the contour of the green, and they'll take a look at the line of the putt that they're looking at. Then they take a little walk. Now, what I've noticed is the majority of them will walk to the low point on the green. So they'll find the lowest point, which in this case is over here. So there's a slope coming down this hill. And when I go to the low point, what that does is it gives me a really clear picture of what my putt's going to have to deal with. So I'm at the low point. This putt, I've got a little bit of break that's going to pull it downhill this way because I'm at the low point. And I can see very clearly that this putt is a little bit up the hill. So once they've done that, we've noticed that they take a little walk. They usually walk in a degree around the hole, and a lot of them will come around and look from behind. Now, this is a key factor because whenever you look from behind, you can often get confused. But what the good putters do is they look from the hole back to the ball, and they're really reading the second part of their putt from here. They know what the first part's going to do. They start to focus a little bit more on what we call the second half of the putt. They then walk around to the high side and have another little look, and then they trace their steps back to the golf ball. So in many cases, we've noticed that they do this little 360 to give themselves a very clear picture of what they're doing. Now, the other factor is when they're taking this walk, they're not just walking. They're also feeling with their feet the contours in the ground. A lot of them can feel the uphill, they can feel the downhill. So by doing a little 360, it gives me a great feeling of what I'm dealing with here, the kind of slope I've got, the kind of break I might have, when I went uphill, when I went downhill. So again, that gives me information on how hard I might have to hit this putt. Now, when they come back here, a lot of times they confirm what they've just done. They've been to the low point, they've been around. They choose their aim point and they choose their spot. So once they've done that, they get a little look and now they commit. So what all great putters do is once they've taken a look, they're very committed to their line. They walk in. Everybody has a slightly different approach. This is just mine. Lining up and aiming the putter. They take a couple of looks, and then from there they're committed and they go ahead and hit the putt on their line. And it's very important they hit it with the right speed. Now, I just missed that one a little bit. I hit a little firm. I was okay with the actual the strike of the putt and even the read. I just hit it a little bit too hard to take the break that I saw. Now, one of the key ingredients I've learned is it's very important to find the low point and the high point. So whenever I read a putt, what I do is I look at that hole as a clock. And I always try and find the direct uphill point from this hole. So to me, this slope of this green comes straight down at me this way. The uphill point is actually here, and the downhill was where I was down in this little hole back here. So right here, I'm almost looking at a straight putt with the uphill at 12 o'clock and the downhill at 6 o'clock. So what I do is I look here, I know that the uphill is here, this is here, so I'm at 6 o'clock. And then I look at where I was putting from, which was back down here, and I'm really probably at about 3 o'clock. So now what I've done is I've given myself, I know where the uphill is, I know where the downhill is, I now know where this ball is going to break and where it's going to break to. So by doing that, it gives me a very clear picture of what I see. So when I go back down, I take a little look, I see I'm going uphill, I know this is the low point, I know this is the high point, and from there, I go back through my routine, I pick my spot again, I take a look along the line of the putt, and I get committed to it, and I just go ahead and hit the putt. And once I do that, it's usually pretty good. This time I hit it a little too soft, and it took too much break. But again, those were just speed concerns. I wasn't too bothered by the way I read the green. I think I read it really well. I just think the speed was the biggest issue there. So lots of different ways to get this done when you're looking at green reading. Now, there's a few things we've learned along the road from looking at great putters. One of those is they tend to be very good at not only reading the speed of the green, they can read the grass they're on. So when they walk onto the green, they use their feet a lot, and they can feel how firm the green is. They can also look at the different shades of grass. So sometimes when you're looking at the grass and you look at the cut lines in the green, you can see the grain, you can see speed. It's very shiny up here. This is downhill. When I look from this direction, it's kind of dull going up this way. So this is uphill into the grain. This is downhill and fast. You can start to read contours around the green. You only become a great green reader by reading a lot of greens. Now, what happens at the average country club is you get used to playing on the greens that you play. Problem with that is when you go to another golf course, you're invited to a member guest or something, a lot of times you don't putt as well. The reason is you're taking for granted what you see because you've played those holes on your own course so many times.